Hello, I'm back again. And today I want to talk to you about living while black. Like I said, in light of the recent events with Mike Brown being shot to death in Ferguson, Missouri by the Ferguson Police Department, we don't know all the details of that story, but first my prayers goes out to the family concerning that event. I want to talk to us though as an African American female, as an African American, as an American, as a member of this society. I want to address the fact, particularly with our African American people, about understanding some of the foundational principles as to why we may be in the situation that we are in currently. Why we have videos of African American females and males getting into fistfights in the middle of the street. Why are there still a large number, predominantly the prison system is built off incarceration of African American males. Also, there's a large presence of African American females in our jail systems now. What are we going to do about this? I've said in some other videos that we don't really have a gun problem, we really have a thinking problem. At some point, we're going to have to deal with this. We're going to have to confront the issues. We're going to have to admit that somehow we got off the trail. Martin Luther King had great aspirations, and he was a great inspiration. He said that one day the whites and the blacks, and that all of us basically would just get along, that we will live together in harmony, that we will have the same opportunities as other individuals here in America. And I think I want to present to you the idea that at this point in time in life, we may just be at that promised land that Martin Luther King talked about, but we may have some distractions that are stopping us from really getting out of life what we really should be getting out of life. I've heard a lot of people say recently, our piece of the pie. A lot of that, I can put the weight on it with the decisions that we make. And I'll begin with myself. I'm not going to talk about you and society. I'm going to address myself first, Kathleen first, and what I had to deal with. First of all, your thinking is what we're challenging tonight, okay? Just our thinking, the way we think, the way we behave. I myself was a single parent. I had 3 children, 3 different fathers. That was not a good decision. That was not the appropriate decision. That was not right. Now we have a plethora. It's almost like the African American community is basically a community, a society, a culture of single parent homes where there are mothers who, like myself, I had to settle down and focus on my children to provide for them perhaps a better life, which I'm thankful to God in so many ways they do. But a lot of us are failing to stop that train of having children out of wedlock, depending on the welfare system in order to feed our children, to feed ourselves, and basically for housing and for every need that we have. And so I felt it's time that we address these issues, that we address maybe why we are in some of the situations that we're in, and to understand these are not hopeless situations. It's basically us just understanding it's time for us to change the way that we think. It's time for us to not be held captive anymore. It's time for us to understand that there are opportunities out here. And don't get me wrong, I understand that discrimination is so real. In fact, I experienced discrimination just a few years ago when I decided to go back to college. The college that I wanted to attend did not want to accept me as a student. And keep in mind, this was just in 2009. Predominantly white area out in West County in the St. Louis area. They did not want me there as a student, and they let me know that. So please be aware of the fact that I'm not approaching this subject as a novice or as someone who has no clue what's going on in the world. I do know what's going on. I'm very familiar with the real world and the events that occur in this real world that we live in. Okay, so getting back to just understanding why we may be in the situation we are, but also looking at it from the perspective that we can improve, we can improve, we can improve. I love President Barack Obama because as he took office, one of the main things that he said that caught my attention is, yes, we can. How can we? Thinking. We have to improve the quality of our thinking. We have to make better choices. We have to choose not to be somebody's baby mama and not to be somebody's baby daddy. We have to choose that if we have brought children into this world, that we're going to be the best parents that we can be and that we're going to speak truth over their life. You're looking at this behind me. Can you even see it? I'll step to the side. I want to show you this diagram because I want to have an impact on your thinking. I want us to begin to make better quality choices. And I thought with this diagram, I could illustrate to you how important it is to understand your line of thought. Some of you, how you think. This is a community. If you would, Google the word ghetto, its origin, where it came from. I want to show you what some people will do to you. I want to show you that some people do know the quality of thinking you'll have based on the opportunities that you are presented with. I want to demonstrate to you that your thinking is not conducive to being productive in society. So this is what we call a neighborhood. Within this neighborhood, we have people who are of low income. Low income typically means that you cannot afford the basic necessities of life. You can't afford to pay full rent. You can't afford to have a car, pay insurance. You can't afford to buy your own groceries, buy your own household necessities, deodorant, toothpaste, things of that nature, clothing, shoes. Most people on low income receive what we call subsidies. Those subsidies may be, I hope I spelled this right. If not, you barely can see it. Subsidies are food stamps, welfare, TANF, anything you receive that is government assistance. So there was something that was done in Germany, in Russia. There was something, I can't remember Germany or Russia if it's the same place. But anyway, just Google ghetto and it will explain to you that at the time, they built these close-knit communities where you would basically have a congregate type situation where people basically were living on top of each other in deplorable situations. Where people basically, you took a lot of people who basically had no hope, who basically couldn't take care of themselves, and you placed them in a neighborhood, a close-knit neighborhood like this, where basically in this close-knit neighborhood, you basically are organizing a group, a set of people, which is what they intended to do when they built ghettos at that time, where they can have an overwhelming feeling or overwhelming presence of being hopeless. At that time, if you can go back to the time of Hitler, when they had prisoners, the main objective was to commit genocide, where they got basically rid of a whole culture of people for whatever evil reasons that they had. I want us to look at ourselves in these low-income areas. I grew up in the projects. I completely understand the struggle of growing up in the projects. I completely understand that. But I want us to be able to step outside of this world. If you could Google search right now for the closest project low-income area that you know of close to you, and from there, expand your Google map, because I want you to see that this is one small area, okay? Within this area, you will have people who make decisions that generally keep them confined to this area. And so decisions like having a baby out of wedlock, continuing to live off the system, no fathers are present. You might see, people gonna come through, you know what I'm saying? But there's no fatherly presence in the home. And situations like these that were constructed for the benefit of those who made these, okay? Because who would build such a community? Certain people would. It's the same people who killed millions of people just to have rights to this land. So you need to understand that there's always a system in place trying to make you feel hopeless, trying to bring you down, trying to get in your head that this is all you will ever have. This is all you can accomplish. And I really want us to look at this map because I see on a daily basis that this is all some people know. You know, let's say this is Lincoln Street and this is Nebraska and this is Jefferson Street and this is Omaha. What they feel like this is their area. My perspective is, my thought is, everything that was meant for bad, we have to learn to take it and let it work for our good. And I'm not down at anybody who lives on public assistance or anything of that nature, because it's not about that. Because I would be talking about myself, because I've got food stamps and TANF and not a lot of it, but it's been a few times where I've had to rely basically on the system. So this is not about me trying to communicate a message to you about, oh, you ghetto, you this, you that. This is not about that. It's about us seeing that someone intentionally, knowing the history of building a neighborhood where people were so close knit and they didn't have hope. Someone already saw this model. It was modeled during the time when they were holding the Jews captive. So somebody already knew this wasn't going to work, but yet they built it. And you took up residence in it, okay? And this right here in itself holds a certain mindset. Like I said, though, I grew up in the projects, so I know all about this. I know all about this. I know about selling drugs. Never was a drug user. Well, I can't say that, but I know about selling drugs, and I know about the parties, and I know about fitting in. I know about gangs and people trying to force you to be a part of a gang. I know I've been through all of that. I've lived all of that. I've experienced this in its totality, and it is the worst situation ever. So understand this was never meant to work for you, for your benefit. But at the same time, I want to talk to you about getting the benefit out of this. So how do I get the benefit? If this is my current situation, how could I possibly get the benefit out of this? First, I want to talk to you about being strong enough to make the right decisions. Okay? So how do you be strong enough when you got people, you got gangs over here? And it's weird because I want us to really see this picture. I want you to see you got the blues over here, and then you got the reds over here. You only live like a block away from each other. You're all in the same situation here, where you all are really trying to struggle to get out. Some of you may be selling drugs thinking that's your ticket. And I can't even go into detail about those who are working for the government and don't even know it. So I'm not going to get into that. But you drug dealers, I want to let you know something. But you got the red versus the blues, the red versus the blues. You got a guy named Ant living right here who kills a dude named Tony that lives right here. And what's funny is this their school. They all went to the same school together. Their parents probably know each other. Is it clicking in your head how this is like, makes no sense? You have a gang within a hopeless neighborhood where people feel hopeless, they feel trapped, and they okay with you doing that. It's okay if Aunt come over here and kill Tony. The mama gonna go to the funeral and she gonna cry. The sister's gonna cry. Somebody's gonna cry revenge. I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna get them. They may and they may not. At the end of the day, though, what's being lost here? Their theory of putting you in this bad neighborhood so you could turn against each other is working. Look at this model. I drew it out for you because I want you to understand that they already knew this was not a conducive situation for you to be a productive member of society. Again, go back and look up the word ghetto. You might as well look at this picture right here. This is what the ghetto looked like. Low income, people who receive subsidies with no hope, trapped in this small area, stacked on top of each other. Some of these buildings are 7 stories high, full of hopeless people, and they don't bring you hope. But if Anthony kills Tony, after everything dies down, and, and please let me preface this by saying this: hats off to the police officer whoever serve and protect. This ain't no kick against the police, even though they've been, yeah. So at the end of the day, when this is happening, all they're gonna do is come over here when all the shooting stops, and they're gonna pick up your dead bodies. And like I said, your mama gonna cry, your sisters and brothers are gonna cry, and then what? You just got one dead dude, and you got another dude who potentially is gonna be dead within the next 2 weeks, especially if they're in a gang, and the cycle continues. And then guess what? If they find out that you did it, you are going to a place they call jail. It's a system. Look at your neighborhood and understand your neighborhood is a system. If you live in a regular community where people get up and go to work every day and they have houses that they build or they pay for or whatever, that's a system of living that's conducive to upward living. So how do we change this? We change it first in our minds. It's tough to do. It's very, very tough to do, but it's doable. And say, Kathleen, how do you know it's doable? Because I did it. When I lived in this neighborhood, okay, let me tell you, I got into a lot of fights. A lot, a lot, a lot. But something inside of me kept pushing for my greatness. It kept pushing me. Even at 13 years old, I remember walking out of the house one day, and I was walking on the sidewalk, and I thought to myself, why are all these people who have no money living in such a close knit? It's like so much anger and so much frustration. Look, being poor is a lot to deal with because you don't have shoes. I'm not even talking about trying to get Jordans. I'm talking about you don't have shoes. You don't have clothes. You don't have food. You can't throw your child a birthday party. I'm talking about real poverty here, where you can't go and get your hair cut. And parents feel bad about that. And so a lot of them turn to perhaps selling drugs or prostitution or whatever they turn to because you feel like you're in a situation where you're trapped. But that's not the answer, and we can't keep going to that. Okay? We can't be smoking weed, drinking all day. We got to start thinking about our future. We got to start thinking about the system that was really set up to bring us down. How can we get out of this? And it does. You might not make it out. You might be. I mean, you can. I'm not going to say that. But what I'm saying is that if we can start thinking about this, perhaps we can help a young person be successful and not bring them into the trap. We got to get out of the trap. And then we got to do something for our children so they won't end up in this model, in this system, in this trap. So what are we going to do? We are going to have to change the way we think. We're going to have to be the ones that push our children to education. Okay? So they won't become a statistic. So that's what we need to do. I wanted to show you this because I really want you to understand the background of the ghetto. I really wanted you to see how you're thinking. That this dude right here is your enemy. Y'all don't even live a block apart. I mean, y'all know each other. You trying to be the kingpin of 1, 2, 3 blocks. You're trying to get credibility in 3 blocks. The world is bigger than your hood. This is small thinking right here. Small. This is very small thinking. If you just run in your hood and this is where you handle all your business, this is very small thinking. And I'm not attacking you as an individual. What I'm saying to you is that you need to get out of this system, because there's something else that God he really has a whole different plan for you. He really does. And when I was in this system where the girl across the street wanted to fight me for what? I don't even know. Like, I don't even fool with you. Like, I don't even know you. I don't even hate you. I don't even know you. But anybody who knows me, I got into my different fights. And I had to. I didn't even want to. But people would approach me. Literally, we live across the street from each other. And people would, boost them up to do it. And look, if we had social media back then, you would have saw me on a couple of videos. That's all I'm saying. Because people had limited, they didn't think outside this system. Of course I did. And that was the difference in my life versus maybe somebody else's life. I know some people who we grew up in this system and they're still in this system. I'm 41. I want you to get out of the system. If you're in the system, use the system. Use it. While you're there paying $8 in rent, go to nursing school. While you're there paying $15 in rent, go to school to be an educator, a teacher, whatever you want to be. Go out and get you some form of education to improve your life. Make sure you put it in your children that this is not the system that they want to be left in. Okay? So living while black, we have to start thinking. We have to. We have to get out of their world, whatever that may be, and we've got to get. Look, I say we in the promised land, but we just don't realize it. We have some distractions. But education is available to anyone, especially if you're in this system. If you're poor, they have a FAFSA application that you can complete. And basically, you can go through all the steps you need to at any college. I say start at the community college level. Apply, start off with your FAFSA and apply for your entry into college. Okay? Communities, churches, aunts and uncles, and all of you people get together. Start supporting your nieces, your nephews, your cousin, whoever is trying to improve their life. Stop wasting money on clothes and trips and all this foolishness and start pouring back into our communities. Not just at the first of the year where we buy backpacks and crayons. That's great. That's good. Let's keep doing that. But as they're going through the process of getting out of this system, let's be there for them. Let's target our youth. Let's tell them the truth about our struggles so they won't have the same struggles. So they won't be relying on the government to feed their children. And I'm not knocking that. I'm with you. I did all of that. But if we really want to improve society, let's take this step. The last thing is I would like to talk to you about, and I'm walking off, don't hit me, is understanding that there are some things that we need to teach our children. So keep looking up there at that board. There are some things that we do need to teach our children. One of those things is we need to educate our children as far as understanding who they are in this society. And keep looking at that. So we know that in this country, are you done looking at this? I didn't know if this was going to wipe off or not because it's been up here a couple of days. But I'll get it. close to where I want it. So I'll make another video when I get that clean. So in the next video, so it'd be like Living Black in America 2. Once I get this clean, I'll talk about making sure your children understand what that means, especially our young African American men. Understanding what that means. And what I mean is, in looking at the current situation with Mike Brown, and I'm not pointing him out because I don't know the details of that situation, but I think it's necessary for us to begin to educate our young men on how to behave in police presence and how we as a society, people standing around looking, some of the things we should do or say in police presence, perhaps, that may help extend our lives. And you say, well, that's sad. To me, that's very sad. But with all presence of mind, I'm just thinking about the fact that Tyler Perry himself was stopped and the police officers didn't know who he was. I got my back turned to you, I'm sorry. But they didn't know who he was. They asked him for whatever they asked him for. I'm guessing the basic routine of proof of insurance and identity, things of that nature. And Tyler Perry had to come up with that. He's an actor. He's famous. He's like the black, almost Oprah. So it's necessary for us to educate our children on how to respond when they're in the police presence. So, say a police comes up on you. You say, what do you know about that? You're a black woman. Well, I have 6 black brothers, 1 black daddy, about 18 black nephews, and I have a black husband, and I have a black son. And our car has been approached. My son has been approached by police officers and had some terrible things said to them. And it's not been a good experience. Okay? So, first of all, I would like to say, show no resistance. Keep your hands elevated. And if he asks you anything, respond loudly. If you're guilty and you know it, don't try to escape. And first, just stop stealing, stop selling drugs, whatever you're doing, don't even give these people a chance. Okay? But, that's my suggestion. If the police run, and then if people stand around videotaping, keep your mouth closed so people can hear what the person is saying and what the officer is saying. That might be helpful. Because you just stand around, why are you doing it? Let him go. Then it really creates more of a hostile situation. Because now the police feel even more threatened because they don't even know what the people around them are capable of, let alone the person they're dealing with. So I would say keep it quiet, keep your hands elevated, speak loudly. Officer, I am cooperating. Yes, sir, officer, whatever you would like for me to do. Yes, sir, officer, I'm spreading my legs. You might say, that sounds humiliating. I think it's ridiculous. But is that something we may need to start doing to protect ourselves? Because, a lot of these police officers are jerks. We already know that. A lot of them are evil. They don't mean you any good. We already know that. So then what's a possible resolution for us? Not engage in criminal activity, number 1. Number 2, speak loudly, elevate your hands. And let them know you're fully cooperating. And then report his butt. Okay? Do that. As far as getting back to our thinking, I want us to think in these terms about everything we just try to make a decision about in our life. This is your thoughts. Now, this is what they call mapping. Mapping means you're able to determine an end result, basically, and it looks just like what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to say negative versus positive versus good versus bad. However you want to name this box, you can. But thoughts, this is just your thinking, whatever you're thinking. So, hashtag think responsibly. Whenever I post a video or something, think responsibly. Anyway, so, and this would be your results. Result or result. Again, I would like to reiterate the fact that I think our major thing is thinking. Or what are we thinking about? Think about that at all times. What are you thinking about? Is it going to be productive? If I'm thinking about having sex, I have to put that in there. If I think about having sex, my behavior, so these will be your behavior boxes. So if I'm thinking about having sex, my behavior, I'm either going to decide not to have sex. I put that in the wrong box. So this should be good, and this should be bad. Now, somebody said, "Oh, sex is good." Sex is good. Feels good. Feels great. Greatest gift God ever gave us. But the feeling, the physical action of sex may be good, but what will be the result? So I teach from one perspective, sex is for married people, because the results. Normally, typically, when you have sex, you produce a child, that's the result. And of course, I always preface that with you need to be married before you have sex. So if you do it the right way, I know we live in a society where ain't nothing wrong with having sex, ain't nothing wrong, but then we know it's kind of wrong because we see the results of it. So take a step back. Thinking, behavior, result. If I'm thinking about robbing somebody and I do the behavior, what's going to be the result? Could be death, could be jail, could be that you get away with it. But you're taking that risk, and you don't know what the result will be. Even the people who have like the best plan, you don't even know like how it's going to really, what the result is truly going to be. You're thinking you're going to get away with $2,000 or 10, but you may just end up dead. Okay, you may just end up in prison. So it makes me think about, go back a couple of steps. What should I be really thinking about? What's going to give me that end result? I want to be rich. Well, what's going to get you rich? I've never in my life seen, oh man, I love to say this and I hate to say it. I've never in my life though seen like a multi-million-dollar drug dealer from my hood. Not from my hood. Not anybody I know. Not really. So if you're doing those behaviors, more than likely your result will be the death or the prison. Okay, we're not going to try to fix that because that's just not something we want to do. We're just not trying to sell drugs. Okay. So I always want you to think about what you're thinking, the behavior, what's going to be the result. If you are 35, this is a good mapping system for you to follow. If you're 12, this is a good mapping. If you're 6, if you're 75, this is a good mapping system. Always think, always be in control, always know what you want the result to be, because that's the action you need to take. That's the action you need to take. So I just wanted to share that with you. Okay? Thinking, your thoughts are going to yield a result. And I could have just left that like one box. Thinking is going to yield behaviors, which are going to yield a result. So where is your control in the matter? In your thoughts, right there. That's where it is. You want to know why we have young ladies down the street beating the stones out of each other? Thinking. You want to know why people walking around pregnant, ain't married to nobody? This is fifth baby mama? Thinking. Do yourself a favor and attack your thinking. Do yourself a favor and learn. Learn how to think. Learn how to be responsible for it. Learn how to control what you think. Um, Back in the day, one time it was after service, I believe, a lady by the name of Diane Brule. I don't know what her name is now. Oh, she might not want me to call her name. But anyway, that's just Diane. She said something that really rocked my thinking one time. And she said, sometimes we're not even thinking what we're thinking. She said, sometimes we have injected thoughts. So just for a second, I'm going to go to that. I'm not the best at this, but I just want you to see. So, I think this is going to be pretty good here. Basically, this is your brain. Now, sometimes we have thoughts. I want to be in the NBA. I want to live in me a car. I want to, not live in me a car. Have a nice car. I want to have a nice home. I want to be married. We have thoughts all day long. I forget how many thoughts you have in a run of a day. And then the brain has this little stem on it. So you can be thinking all wonderful things, all delightful things, all things full of hope and encouragement. But what happens like in the middle of the night, or like you just kind of sitting there minding your own business, and then you have like an injected thought. This is a needle, right? Ooh, that looks like a needle. Like a thought just came out of nowhere to do something crazy, like something you're not even thinking about really doing. You'll have like what they call an injected thought that wants to see if you can accept that thinking. It'll get you off into some other stuff. So really think about that. Every thought you have is not your thought, and you need to be able to filter this and not accept. Every thought is not yours, so don't even accept it when it comes. So if you have a thought about something crazy and you're like, why would I even think that? No, I wouldn't even do that to my friend. Kick that thought out. Look at that brain. That is good. Um, so basically that's all I want to talk to us about. Being responsible, confronting the fact that we do have an issue. A lot of it is because of thinking, us making poor decisions. And if we don't start to make better decisions, we're going to be living a life less than what we should be. So I want us to start thinking about things like that. Also, I want you to think. Look at this poster over here. This is my book. It's called The Body Book: A Lesson About Inappropriate Touch. I wrote this book to help deal with one of the issues that I face, which is child sexual abuse at a very young age. And I wrote this book because I want to help parents, and I want to help society. I want to help the world. So if you're interested, I say every church, every organization, every institution, everyone should have a copy of this book. It's in the Cincinnati Public Library, in some bookstores, available on Amazon, and on my website, www.thebodybook.org. Please, please, please pick you up a copy of this book. Comes with what I call body cards. These are what you give to your children. They have some helpful information on them. They ask specific questions. You give these to your children. This is something that they can fill out. It asks questions about weight, height, the predator, the offender. Asks you all these good questions. You give these to your children. They keep these. Um, they keep them. And basically what they do is if something were to happen, they can fill these out. Drop my book. And they can give them to you. Or who I say in the book, a person who is considered a safe person. So every book you receive will come with 3 sets of these cards. Right in the back of the book, old school. See that? Little card holder. So every book you receive will come with 3 sets of those, okay? Right now, I'm currently doing a campaign trying to have an app created for my book. Your church may get this. You'll see me posted on my page. Basically, it's a campaign. God is calling us to stop child sexual abuse. You can find this at fundraiser.com. Campaigns. So it's a site, FUNDRAZR, I believe. Yeah, FUNDRAZR.com. Click on there and look for this campaign. This is what it's going to look like. It's got the book, the flowers, the butterfly. That's my campaign, okay? So support that. Basically, trying to turn the book into an app. They'll be able to send those body cards, to email them or text them to anyone they consider a safe person. Even we're trying to make connections now to the police department, so do that. Okay? Last but not least, the Stop and Stick is my product. You can find it online at www.thestopandstick.com. Purchase you one of these. Great to have in the car for, stopping keys and other things, cell phones from falling between and behind the seat of your car. Comes with a flashlight, has 4 functions. You want to learn more about it, just go to my website, the Stop and Stick, www.stopandstick.com. Why am I doing all of this? Because I really want to put my footprint in society as being a person who was there to help make changes in our world. Let's do that. Thank you for watching. This is New You channel, New You on Ustream Live. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. I love you. I pray for you. I really do. My young black men, I'm telling you, my neighbors can tell you. And I pray for you because it's all in here. If we can get this right, if we can start thinking on another level, psychologically, we got issues and we need to deal with them so we can become more productive members in society. Go to college, complete your FAFSA perform, enroll in college. Do it. I don't care who tries to stop you. Get it done, okay? Apply for the jobs. I don't care if they tell you no a million times. Keep applying for that position that you desire. I love you, praying for you. God bless.